this podcast is about the Highland Games, and that's something that is near and dear to Jeremy's heart. That is his thing. So if I just said, "What the heck are the Highland Games?" How would you describe this? What goes on? This is a Pittsburgh thing. You started, or you're in
I
front of it?
started our group, yeah, the
What is that?
Pittsburgh Scottish Athletic Association. So the Scottish Highland Games is it obviously comes from Scotland, and it dates back to, they said, around 1200 AD, where the citizens of Scotland, the people of Scotland, when they were fighting against England, they were using, in fighting wars, not just England, but fighting wars, they were able to use stone. They didn't have weapons, they didn't have arrows, any of that, so they were using long logs to like throw them over, propel them, towards their enemy. Stones, hurling stones, things of that nature. So that's kind of the origins if you look up the story, but to ask what they are in current day, it is a athletic event that usually takes place at a large festival, and it's a Scottish themed festival, but it's in America. There's 9 events, so it's very similar, and it goes a lot with like field, from track and field. So shot put would be a stone throw. So there's 9 events. There's stones. There's a heavy. It's what they call the Braemar stone, but it's essentially the heavier stone. Those stones can range in weight depending on women versus classes for men, but they could be up to almost 25 pounds. And it's where you're in a box, and you don't get to spin or move as you see in a shot put in the Olympics, but you kind of just can hurl that stone. Now, there's no real technical way to do it. A lot of guys hold it out like a shot put, but they hurl it, and the further one it throws, the furthest wins.
Yeah.
Then there's another open stone where you actually can spin and whatnot. So there's 2 types of stones. The open stone's lighter. There's a hammer throw event where it's similar to Olympics, but it's either on a rattan stick and it's a 16. There's a heavy hammer that's 22 pounds. They get really heavy, and they're on about a 54-inch, 54, 55-inch. You can make them out of PVC pipe as well. Big metal ball, and it's kind of custom made. Again, 16, 22 pounds for men. Spin it around, and you have to throw it up over. You want to get that leverage. Whoever throws it the farthest wins. I know guys who can throw it 100 to 130 feet.
Wow.
It's pretty impressive.
That sounds evil to be in a war where people are throwing sledgehammers
Well,
at you.
it's similar. It's like a sledgehammer, yeah. And it has some bend.
That.
So, and it goes down the line. You have stones, you have hammers. There's weight for distance, which what that is there's a lightweight for distance that's 28 pounds for men, and then there's a 56 pound, which is the heavyweight for distance, and it's on a chain about this long, and you want to get momentum and swing that thing and spin yourself around in a box. If you go outside of that box or above the trig, you get a foul, but you have to throw that out, and whoever can hurl that out the farthest obviously wins. Others, the most popular one is the caber toss. The caber toss looks like most of them are trees or kind of resembles a telephone pole. It's not as heavy as a telephone pole, but they can range anywhere from 14 to 18, 19 feet tall, and they can get pretty heavy. I mean, they start at about 75 pounds. I've seen where the professionals throw 130, 140 pounds, and it's where you have a partner stand it up, and once you stand that up, you get a hold of it, and you got to kind of go down underneath, tuck it up in there, like right here, that tall, balance it, get it up, and catch it, and then you have to flip it over, and whoever flips it to they look at it as like a clock. If you get a 12 o'clock and it has to turn over, so you flip it once, it hits. It's at 12 o'clock, it turns over. That's like a perfect score.
Was that a weapon? I mean,
it allegedly the folk tale is that it was used as a weapon or to get over and scale over walls, things of that nature, being able to balance it, throw it up. But that is the most popular just because, and it's the most menacing. I remember the first time I did it, and I've always been into athletics and lifting and whatnot. First time I ever had one of those and getting it to balance and whatnot, it was pretty intimidating. But it's once you get it down, it actually is more rhythm.
Wow.
And so a couple of the other events, sheaf toss, it's where kind of looks like we call them standards, but it looks like field goal posts, but really tall. They can go up to 40 feet. and they just get the bar goes up as you throw it up. And what it is, it's like a burlap bag. You know, you can people hand stitch them and fill them, and just think of a big like haystack almost that's stitched together. That's maybe 16, and they go up in weight as well. They can go up to over, I believe, 20 pounds. You use a pitchfork, kind of stab it in, and you swing it up and throw it over your back, and you want to make it over in between the poles, kind of like, yeah. I know guys that they're really good at it. They throw up to 38 feet.
So these are basically, some of these are, the tradition goes back to them being used as weapons or things you used to farm. Like
it's kind of a combination. I mean,
yeah.
the sheaf toss is an American one. It looks like a 3-pronged pitchfork.
Yeah.
And you would be sticking like a barrel of hay, but you toss the bag over your shoulder, and some guys do a spin, and as long as it goes up in between the two poles and over the bar, you get it. Wow. And then lastly is weight over bar. Similar, same standard. It's either a 56 or a 42-pound weight if you're a masters, which is 40 plus, and you kind of spin it on. You put it under your legs, and you dip down, and you have to put it up over and throw it up over your head. You're literally standing underneath a 56-pound metal weight.
It's like a kettlebell throw.
It is like a kettlebell.
Is,
very similar. Okay. Same on a chain with a handle. Tears up your hands.
Chain. Wow.
Yeah, that's what makes it. It feels like 156.
Wow.
I remember the first time I picked up the 56-pound weight. And I'm like, oh, this is easy. Kettlebells, tossing them. That's how I was practicing. I didn't have any of this equipment. It's not readily available. And when it's on a chain and you got a couple inches of length there with like a circle ring or even like a handle ring, it felt like 156 pounds, and it throws you around. And so that kind of explains we have to wear kilts. It is international. There's international, it's really big. It's grown in the United States. It's at a lot of Highland Games festivals or Renaissance festivals, things like that. I've seen it at carnivals, state fairs. We started doing our own. We decided, let's grow the sport. We were all getting up there in age, but we're trying to get some youth involved. We decided to start an organization called it's kind of a volunteer organization, but Pittsburgh Scottish Athletic Association. We started doing small events, and then we went to large scale. Last year we did our first large one at Libations Winery by Grove City. We had about 2,000 people enter, and it's takes all day. It's an all-day event. It's fascinating to see. It's some of the biggest guys I've ever seen, some of the most athletic guys I've ever seen, and it's a sport that I'll tell you the friends that you create with it. When I first went, I thought it was going to be very competitive, a lot of testosterone, and it ended up being some of my best friends to this day. Everybody cheers you on. Majority of the athletes, even they don't get paid. They do this for fun.
How far does an athlete travel to participate? What's the furthest they'd travel?
Pretty far.
Does some go to all the games? Like, this is my thing.
So there's multiple classes. There's the women's go from lightweight to all the way up to amateurs, men and women. You have masters, which is 40 plus, and then there is a pro class. And so if you're really good, you travel. One of the guys in our groups, he's a master. He's about 43 years old, but he was in the top 10 in scoring the previous year. He went up to Nova Scotia for the Masters World Championship. This year it's in Netherlands or something. They're in Scotland. Scotland has a world championship. The pros travel it a lot. They get paid a very minute amount, not much, but they travel all over the world. So it is a global international sport, very big in Europe, Canada. I befriended people in Australia that do it. You travel.
What is your personal connection to this Scotland Highland Games?
Well, I am Scottish.
Okay.
So I used to go to the Ligonier Highland Games, and that's been going on for 60-plus years. Big festival, great food, great all kind of things to do. I went a number of years ago, and I was like, yeah, I'd like to try it. I'm Scottish. My clan affiliation is Bruce. So we have our own tartan and whatnot. You have to specially order it. It's red, and it identifies your family ties, back in Scotland. So I went to the event, the festival, and then I went back a number of years later, and I said I was looking for something new in my life, like something to like that competitive edge. Yeah. And in 2015, I went again. It had been the first time I'd been there a while. I said, I'm going to do that. Well, the following year, dear friend of mine's wedding happened to fall But then in 2017 is when I did it, and from there I competed in 2018, 2019, 2020 got kind of derailed with COVID. But after that, last year I competed about 10 different places. I was in 3 different states, traveled quite a bit.
Wow.
And so it's a heritage thing. But most guys, there's a lot of guys who they're not anywhere, nothing about them Scottish.
Yeah.
But they come
Just wanna
usually kind of
participate.
a background in either high school or even college, track and field, shot put, hammer, discus throwers. They generally do really well in this sport, or really big, strong guys.
Is it local? Is it a local version of it? What time of year is it?
It's all year around, but it is local. We generally start our season. I mean, we practice in the winter and whatnot. And there's a group we work with, Great Lakes Scottish Athletic Association out of Ohio. They do the Arnold Classic, so it starts
Okay.
as early as that. It's an indoor event, but they do a winter one. But locally, we start around April is when ours. It goes into October is usually
So
a
you
good
participate
time.
as an athlete.
Uh,
You don't organize it, or do you
I
help
do
organize?
both.
You do both. So you're an
Yeah,
athlete
this
and you're
year
right.
I'm dealing with a shoulder issue, but this year I'm really focusing on we're growing out the Libations Winery on October 14th.
Gotcha.
This year we actually have a pro class that we're announcing. But I've competed since 2017, and I've got probably about I'd say almost 24 over the years competitions. Some small,
Yeah.
some medium, some large events. But yeah, I've been competing since 2017 and been organizing since 2020, 2021.
What are some of the challenges you get from trying to put this on in a year? I mean, you always have the pandemic was a tough challenge.
Oh, it
But
was.
outside of that,
But
how tough is it to put this together? Find a space? It sounds like it
that's
takes a big
really
space.
where it comes down to. You need the space. Remember, the hammers can be thrown. Some of these guys, I mean, you get the
Yeah.
pros in here. There,
Oh,
even
yeah.
amateurs, 130 feet. So you need space. So you need almost like, I would say, up to a football field or close to it, at least maybe 50, 60 yards, but it has to be all the way around because you don't want, I mean, these things could
Right. You don't
I mean,
near where you get the
no, you don't want
refreshments and
anybody
stuff.
hurt and whatnot. But space is one of them. A good event to back off of. Equipment is challenging because, again, it's just not readily available. A lot of the guys who provide equipment in this sport are generally guys who are blacksmiths,
They make the
craftsmen.
stuff,
They
yeah.
make it, and then they've produced it. We'll put some links in the video in the description of some of those guys and gals and groups who do it. But equipment, space. It's hard to find practice spaces.
I can imagine.
I mean, it tears up fields.
You say when you put this on, are you accompanying it with another festival that's going on? Like if there's a thing going on, you're like a part of that. Like if there was a regatta, you'd be in a certain area.
Yeah,
Or if there's
absolutely.
something going on at Grove City, you'd be out in a certain area.
So the way we started doing it is, we would piggyback off, or we would go to like breweries or county fairs and whatnot, try to piggyback off their
gotcha,
event,
okay.
provide entertainment because that's what it is. The Ligonier Highland Games. I mean, the main entertainment is the heavy athletics,
Gotcha.
and they have everything else is outside of it. But we try to piggyback it off. But the libations is. We met Brian, the owner. We had another facility that we had done a smaller one, tried to do a bigger one, but unfortunately there was a scheduling conflict. Went to him at Libations. He had a big field. He's like, I've been wanting to do a fall festival.
Wow, perfect.
So he put together the fall festival side, which they have like vendors and crafts, and he brings out the food, and there's all kind of events there going on the side. And then we have pretty much the main entertainment. A lot of pipers come in. They do parades. They do their own. They'll do a halftime show. It brings out specialty dogs. The Irish Wolfhounds and
Yeah.
the Scotty dogs and all them. They do parades for that because that's a unique tie to it. And then fiddling, dancing, and certain type of Scottish ethnic food, which
Yeah.
you just don't really see anywhere else.
Wow.
Is where it is. But yeah, I mean, in regards to the challenge, it's location and equipment. It would probably be the two biggest challenges to find because equipment breaks when you're throwing it around.
Right.
And not everybody wants massive holes when you got guys
Right. You got
for
to
tossing a 56-pound weight 30 feet or a 18 pounds 20-pound stone and it's been wet.
Yeah.
You should see the holes it brings.
Yeah, I can imagine. I was watching some video on that, and just from my standpoint, maybe I look at it from my point of view as a someone who covers those events with video and photography. I don't want to get hit with one of those things. So I'm thinking, how often has there been friendly fire where I'm like ready to take a picture in the kettlebell, he hits me smack in the lens.
So-
Like I just want to be far away with a big lens and
You-
make sure they don't let go of it
you
before they're swinging around like this, man.
You get used to it though. Like
you gotta really
I've
trust
never
someone.
been a part of anybody other than seeing hands get tore up.
Yeah,
from
no
like,
one's ever been hit with a flying kettlebell.
No, not
Right.
the, what in mine. None of the weights, none of the stones or the hammers and whatnot. We almost saw. We were up at it was Edinburgh does a Highland
Yeah.
Games, a small one. I've competed there. Somebody had a big drone, and they were kind of getting.
Oh,
and,
yeah,
and
pushing the
it
luck.
was a close call.
Was it?
But we. So we really go into being very cautious.
Yeah.
We tell everybody, like, there has been times where the guys that are shagging, we call them shaggers or volunteers or even the
Yeah.
other athletes, they're talking and
They're not paying
we've had to
attention to what's
scream. We've
going
had
on.
some
Yeah,
close
yeah.
calls, absolutely. Or one time a hammer at Edinburgh went into luckily the grass was longer. It would have taken some people out.
Oh,
where
yeah.
we generally, precautions are like a cage around the hammer. Similar to a batting cage.
Yeah.
And with the caber, I mean, we really, especially for newer athletes, if it's their first, I mean, everybody around does their best in coaching. And where some guys try to hang on to it too much. I know a couple of my athletes that are in our group, I mean, they've seen where guys have broken their collarbone because they've hung on to it too.
Right, yeah.
When we see it, drop it.
Right.
We yell, drop it.
So you put a lot of time into the safety and make sure.
Yeah,
It's,
so absolutely. But
good,
it's
yeah.
very unique sport. It's challenging. It beats on your body, but I'll tell you, it's addicting.
How do I find out where this is going to be? Is there a website or something?
Yeah, so you can go to Pittsburgh Scottish Athletic Association on our Facebook page. That will give our event in October 14th, Saturday, all-day event. It's at Libations Winery.
Okay.
They on their website they have it as well on their calendar, and then there's one that we are a part of in September. At the end of September, Ligonier Highland Games. So if you look up just Google Ligonier Highland Games or look them up on their Facebook page, they have it's generally the third Saturday in September. They've been switching it around due to like the way because it's at Idlewild Park,
Yeah.
and Idlewild has been kind of switching theirs if the park's open, if it's not. So Ligonier Highland Games is another one. It's a great event. It's good for the family. There's lots to do. And same with our Libations event. We have the skydivers that do a halftime skydive show. We have pipers. There's bands later, and there's all kinds of wine, beer, food, and we generally have about 40 to 50 craft vendors and vendors that sell all kind of different things between crafts, meats, Scottish clothing. So it's a unique festival.
Yeah, looking forward to it. So we know the dates of this year's. And anything else I got to know to be there? Check it out.
No, I think that covers everything,
Yeah.
and we'll have more details as we come with all of our athletes. We'll be doing a spotlight on our Facebook page and give all the details of all the extra events that are going to take place.
Maybe we'll do a little post podcast after
Absolutely.
the event.
You know,
show
we're
a
gonna
little video.
I'm going to bring the
little news
group on,
podcast.
or I'll bring the group on. We'll have everybody talk.
Oh, that'll be cool.
We'll do one our next segment on Highland Games, and then we got a couple out in California. They've got a YouTube channel. Rick Simmons is his name,
Oh,
and
cool.
Arcady, husband and wife that compete. Ironmonger's Gym is who that is here. They're out in San Diego. They've flown out. Gym owners who just found this one time and like, I want to try that.
Yeah.
And they started trying it, and here they are, his husband and wife competing, and he's one of the best masters in like 3 years in the world.
Very cool. Very cool. Looking forward to that. Let's look forward to some updates on that.
All right, perfect.
Thanks, Jeremy.
Thank you.